I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be, is traditional dating even necessary? Got an email here from a viewer. He says, "Hey Coach, I have just a simple question regarding first dates. Do you think going out somewhere with a woman is essential when setting up the first date?" Well, you don't have to go out and spend a ton of money on a girl and take her to a 5-star restaurant and blow $200-300 on an expensive dinner, expensive bottle of wine, expensive desserts, and all that nonsense. The idea is to go out and do, because I say this a lot, a guy has to simply focus on what I like to call the 3 H's, which are hang out, mean set a date. When you get together and hang out, the second is you have fun when you're on the date, and the third is that you hook up. In other words, you make a move, go for the kiss, make a move, and obviously depending on how warm or cold she is to your advances will determine whether or not it successfully moves to the bedroom that night, or maybe it takes a second or third night. The average, most women sleep with guys between the second and the third date is typically the average of what you see happening. And so what I like to do, it really depends upon how well you know a woman. Like if you know a girl and you really like her and you're really into her, and maybe you've met and you've kind of known each other, so you're acquaintances. I in the past have always, because I've always had money and I've always been successful. I've always worked my ass off since I was a teenager, basically. And so I like eating out, and I've always eaten out. I'll go and eat out with my buddies. I'll go out and have some drinks with my buddies. I'll go have sushi. I just like to do nice things. And if I'm going to go to a restaurant and I'm going out on a date with a girl I really like, I'm going to go someplace where I'm going to have a good meal. Why? Because I'm taking her someplace because obviously I want to have a good time, but I also want to know that I'm going to have a good meal, and I'm not going to take just any old chick that I meet off the street that just says yes to a date. She's got to be somebody that I'm really into and who I think is really special and worthwhile. Now, if it's a girl that I just met and I'm not really that into her, but she's just really beautiful and maybe she's got something about her that I like and I want to know more about it, typically what I usually do is just meet out for a drink and see how it goes. Because if you don't know the girl that well, there's a chance that you meet a girl, because you might only talk to her for 5 or 10 minutes when you've met her, or even less in some cases. And so you go and you meet her out and you're having a few drinks, and after you talk to her for a half hour, 45 minutes, you might decide that you really don't like this person. And even though she's really beautiful and everything, you really don't want to spend much time with her. So it's easy just to say, "Hey, I got to run, but it was definitely nice meeting you. I'll talk to you later," and then you can take off. Whereas if you planned a big expensive dinner and then like 30 minutes into dinner you realize you can't stand the girl, then obviously that would be a bad situation. You'd be wasting your money and your time. So it really depends upon how much of a connection you have with the girl and how into her you really are and how well you already know her. Because if I'm going to go out and I'm going to spend money taking a girl to dinner and eating in a nice place and having a good time, I'm only going to take girls that I'm like 99.9% sure that there's a real deep, strong connection with. And that doesn't happen with every single girl, so it depends on you. It's like case-by-case basis. I mean, I got guys that are in college or guys that just simply don't have a lot of money, and they'll take a girl to McDonald's for a date. And that's the way it is. But the best first date, especially if you're just learning this stuff and you can't really tell the difference between a girl who really digs you and who doesn't, I would suggest don't go out and take her to expensive places. Just go out and do inexpensive things like go to Starbucks or meet her out for a drink, because you just haven't dated enough and you're not a good enough dater yet to be making dates with women that you really like and you really got a shot with. Because think about it. If you keep taking girls out and you blow a bunch of money taking them to an expensive restaurant when you didn't really pre-screen them or pre-qualify them up front, then you're going to be walking away thinking, "Fuck, I just emptied my wallet here and I had a horrible, lousy time." Like I said, it really depends on the girl that you're going out with and how much you're into her, how much you already know her and know about her. If you really dig her and she's really into you and you really have a connection that's just totally unmistakable, that when people watch the two of you interacting, they can see that there's a connection there, and I'd say, yeah, go take the girl to a nice place if you can afford it, obviously. That's just my lifestyle. It's like if I'm going to eat sushi, I'm going to eat at a nice restaurant. I'm not going to eat at a shitty dive, all-you-can-eat sushi buffet, because you're not going to get the best fish there. If I go out to a restaurant, like I said, I'm going to go and I'm going to spend money on a meal. I'm going to eat at a nice place because I'm a very healthy eater. And I don't want to go eat a crappy meal, especially if I'm going to spend some money. But like I said, it really depends upon you and where you're at, how well you know the girl. So if you don't know her real well, good rule of thumb, meet her out for coffee, meet her out for a quick drink. But if there's a deep connection and you already kind of know her, you've maybe talked a few times in the past for whatever reason, or maybe it was a girl you knew and you were friends with, but she always had a boyfriend, and then you run into her, and then, hey, I'm not with that dude anymore, and you're like, hey, baby, why don't we get together for a drink, or hey, sweetheart, or hey, honey, or like however you talk to her, because that's the way I am with girls that I know. It's like I always treat them as if they're my girlfriend. I always talk to them in a sweet voice and a sweet tone, just because that's the way I am. You treat all women the same. It's like, it's not when you get together with a girl you really like and you're sweet to her, and then the rest of the women you're a dick to and you don't care about. The idea is to be that way with every woman, because one of the big mistakes that guys make when they're dating a girl, and I talk about this in my book, is they go out on a date, they're over anxious, they're over eager to be with her, and they're chasing and they're pursuing too much and they're trying to do too much. So, like I said, it's best to go case by case, depending on how well you know the girl. If you don't know her well, take her to a place that's cheap, because that way if she sucks, or she's a lousy dater, or a lousy conversationalist, or she's boring, or she's dumber than a bag of rocks or a bag of hammers, you can pay the tab and you can say, hey, it was nice meeting you, you can bolt. He says, and so when he says, do you have to take her somewhere, or can you invite her over for a bottle of wine while following all of her dating rules? It really depends. I mean, yeah, you can have a girl come over to your house and make dinner for her. Like I said, it's going to depend. If you just met the girl and you talked to her for 3 minutes, getting her to come over to your house for dinner, that's going to be tough to pull off. But if you already know her and you have some chemistry, maybe you've hung out with mutual friends or whatever, maybe she was taken or you had a girlfriend at the time, for whatever reason now you're both single and she already knows you, yeah, you'll probably have a good chance, if she really likes you, of pulling that off. Just say, hey, I'm not just in the mood to kind of hang this week. Why don't we get together and maybe make dinner? Why don't you grab a bottle of wine, come on over to my place, and I'll grab some chicken breast or some fish or some vegetables or whatever, and we'll make dinner together. And sure, you can do that. So he says, and so it would work, but like I said, you're gonna, especially if you're a beginner, you're gonna have a little bit of a hard time getting girls that barely know you and you haven't really had a chance to create rapport with them to come back to your place to have dinner. That's usually good for a second or a third date, and it really depends on a woman's level of comfort with you. Because you got to remember, a woman, the thing that she's always the deepest fear that women have is that they're going to get themselves into a situation with a guy who's going to want them or try to make them do something that they're simply not ready to do. And as long as you have that indifferent, take it or leave it attitude, it's not that you're a cold dick to her, but you're glad that she's there, but if it doesn't work out, it's no skin off your back, because you'll meet 5 other new women tomorrow. You just want to have that mindset and that attitude, because people perceive you the way you perceive yourself, and so will your dates. And so if you perceive yourself to be a catch, a guy who has a lot to offer women, then you're going to have that kind of attitude, you're going to have that energy, and it's going to affect the things that you say, it's going to affect the things that you do, it's going to affect your body language, it's going to affect your physiology and the tone of your voice. But if you have not had a lot of success with women, and then you start dating women, obviously the confidence, it just takes time to build that up. It is not going to be there if someone obviously if you're comparing yourself to me or somebody else who's already really successful with women. The idea is to step it up, to go at your own pace, do what you're comfortable with. Because what will happen is eventually, like I said, it's like when people read my book, I'm assuming the guy is I read it for the novice or the advanced guy, and you basically use the tools in your toolbox. Like if you notice in the beginning of the book, I'm using a lot of low-risk things to talk to women, interact with them, have conversations, and be able to read their interest just by a few questions that I ask them, being able to tell whether they're really interested or not before you go and risk rejection asking them out. Like where I get to in the back of the book, like the relationship that I had with the last girlfriend that I wrote about in my book when I was writing my book. I just walked up to her and looked her right in the eye and just made a date in a spot, because the connection was unmistakable. But like I said, a guy that's just reading my book for the first time, that's going to be absolutely fucking terrifying. Because a lot of guys that read my book, I mean, just making eye contact, I mean, I got guys, it like takes them 3 weeks to go into the mall to get comfortable just making eye contact and not looking away first with people. So like I said, it really depends upon you and how comfortable you are. But like I said, good rule of thumb, if you don't know them that well, take them someplace cheap. That way if it turns out you don't really have chemistry or connection, you can bolt without much money. But if you know the girl well and there's an unmistakable connection, you know it's going to work out without a doubt, then take her someplace cool if you can afford it and that's what you want to do and those are the kinds of things that you like to do. Like I said, to me, breaking bread with friends and family or dates is a big deal to me. That's why I like going to dinner. That's why I've just always been that way. And I've enjoyed that kind of lifestyle. But obviously if money's tight for you or you're unsure of the girl, it's best to save your cash later on and take her to a nice dinner once you've been out on several dates, maybe had sex with her, hooked up, and you know things are going to go well. It's all up to you. So if you have a question you want to ask me, go to my website, click the Contact Me tab, which will be on the left-hand side of your screen, and send me 1 to 2 paragraphs max, and just give me several days to get back to you with a response. If you want to talk to me right away, the quickest way to get my help is to book a paid phone coaching session. You can do that by going to my website, click the Products tab, which will be at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions. If you want to get a digital version of my Kindle ebook, on my website, underneath the email sign-up box, is a box that has a link that will take you right to the Amazon Kindle download page. Once you get there, if you don't have a Kindle device, just download one of their free e-reader apps for your smartphone, tablet device, or your computer. And if you appreciate the value of the information I offer in these video newsletters, the articles on my website, and my ebook, you can show your appreciation right now by going to my website and on the Wibbia toolbar, which will be at the bottom of your screen, click the PayPal donate button and donate any amount that you feel is equal to the value of the information. And I will talk to you soon.